Welcome back to Veterans Voices with VTC, and this is where we share real stories of strength, survival, and hope. That's the business we are in at this nonprofit organization called the Veterans Transition Center of California, and it's our honor to be here. We have a wonderful guest here who happened to be our first guest, right, Maddie?
He was. He was a great first guest, too.
Tom Lamphere. Welcome, Tom.
Hey.
Thanks for coming back.
Absolutely.
And it's almost time. I'm on the edge of my seat that we can actually say happy holidays. I can't believe it. I'm so excited.
Yay.
We have some exciting things happening in the next few weeks here at VTC that Madison, our co-producer here, would like to share with you.
Yes, we have a lot of exciting things happening. Tomorrow on November 20th, we have our Meals on Wheels resident dinner where we take all of our veterans over to Meals on Wheels in Pacific Grove, and they cook us a huge Thanksgiving dinner, and it's just a great celebration. So thank you to Meals on Wheels in Pacific Grove. We also have our a wreath making day coming up. We have a volunteer coming in to show our veterans how to make some wreaths and put them together and get them in the holiday spirit. And we also have our Christmas party coming up. The Circle Monterey County is putting on a wonderful Christmas celebration. They're bringing food, gifts, and even elves for our veterans to help them celebrate.
You know, we just love to bring a celebratory, and any way we could bring joy to our veterans, we do what we can here. But when people offer to come and support our veterans in this way, I mean, we are so filled with gratitude about that. I think it's so cool. And Meals on Wheels of the Monterey Peninsula is located in Pacific Grove, and we're actually transporting all of our veterans to Pacific Grove to enjoy a Thanksgiving feast tomorrow. So that will be super exciting. And they also have music, don't they?
They do. Last year they had a live band, so I'm excited to see who they have this year.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. Okay, so what other things do we want to talk about? Well, we just had an amazing Salute to Veterans Jamboree on Veterans Day. This was the first year that we had, well, first of all, two things we did for the first time this year. First of all, the City of Marina sponsored the event. So in collaboration with the City of Marina, it just really brought some excitement and some, what's the word I'm looking for?
Community buzz.
Yes, a community buzz. That's exactly right. And so that was really exciting to collaborate with them. One of the most important things about that day, which was on Veterans Day, November 11th, is that we had for the first time Veterans Alley, which was about 30 booths that served as like a resource fair for veterans. We had Supercuts giving free haircuts. We had Compass Church giving out reading glasses. And any of these booths were giving free resources to veterans. And it was so exciting to see our community come together and really provide any resources that they can to our veterans. We had banks giving financial planning information, and it was really exciting. It was from 11 to 4 on Veterans Day, and it was a great day. We had Marina High School do the color guard, and weren't they amazing?
They were great.
Yep. So that was really, really great. And also in conjunction with the Boy Scouts from this area, they were there as well, providing support and helping out in our kids zone. So anyway, just a big shout out to them. So it was a great day of celebration and honoring our veterans from whatever year they served, from whatever country they served, and whatever capacity they served. It was a day of honoring our veterans. So that was an amazing event. So I would like to bring back to you today Tom Lamphere. Tom is our grant writer here at the Veterans Transition Center. He's also a veteran, and he's also been through our VTC program here. So welcome back, Tom.
Yay, I'm back. I am back. I think I'm back. I feel like I'm back.
Yeah,
I'm
you
physically
are.
back.
You
right.
are.
Yeah, I'm here.
You are back. You are back. Well, it's so nice to see you again. Thanks for coming by. You do some amazing things here at the VTC, not only for the staff but for our veterans, which is the most important thing. And you wear many hats, and we can't wait to talk a little bit more about that. So, since the first time you were on the podcast, what's changed most in your life or here at work?
Couple things. I do have a significant other. I met a wonderful person who's become a very big part of my life, and that is progressing. So I'm very pleased about that.
And I have to say, I met her at the Veterans Salute to Veterans Jamboree, and she's so wonderful. I love her.
Yes, she is. She's definitely a very special person. Work-wise, there's been so much that's changed. Added responsibilities has increased my workload, but in a good way. I'm doing security emergency calls on the weekends and during the week at nights for the veterans. So if any of the veterans have like a serious type of 911 type of emergency, myself and a coworker will go respond to it. If they're having a mental health crisis, which is the big thing, I'm there. I'm 30 seconds away from any housing unit there. So I can respond quickly to address any mental health conditions, de-escalate if necessary, give comfort, or make that call where we need to get them a higher level of care for whatever it is they're going through. I think it's just really important for the veterans in our program to have a ready access, a ready resource that's right there. That gives a sense of comfort for them. In some ways, just knowing that a person there is preventative in itself.
Right, right. Well, also you bring your own experience. I mean, you've been in the battlefield. I mean, you have dealt with PTSD, so you're familiar with this type of thing that they might be battling. So, and we do see that quite a bit with our veterans that come through here as facing
Yes.
mental health crisis from many different levels, but especially PTSD.
Absolutely. PTSD, and a lot of times the veterans come in not choosing to acknowledge that there are mental health conditions. Sometimes that's a barrier, but it's also a great opportunity for growth. And I think one of the most rewarding things is when you see them come through like that, and then you see that moment where things start clicking together and they start getting the help they need, and then watching that transformation where you see a veteran who's nervous, has a lot of anxiety, 3 months, 6 months later, confidence, walking tall again, proud of who they are as a person. That's just an awesome measure of success for our programs. It's great to watch.
That's very true. That's the nature of our success, is really seeing the change in a veteran's life. I mean, really, it takes them first to want to make a change. If they're facing some sort of crisis or situation in their life that they found themselves in, they never thought they would find themselves in. And we take them as they are, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So what surprised you the most about your journey since we last talked here on the podcast?
I don't think there's anything that's really surprised me like, boom, surprise. This just dropped on you. But I think the pleasant surprise, we'll call it that, has been a continuation of my ability to adapt and overcome and get creative to find solutions. I think my experience here has given me more tools and a better understanding of how some things work. That's allowed me to grow as a person, which is a pleasant surprise. It's not that I ever think I'm never going to not stop growing. I know I'm going to always grow, but sometimes it accelerates faster than you think. And then when it does, you're like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool.
So tell us a little bit more about that, because that, to me, that is like the essence of who we are too. And I feel like when you're on the show, you really talk about, even when you share your experience about grant writing or your experience as a veteran or your experience through the program, I mean, your successes, it exudes from you, really. And that's the environment that we're creating for our veterans, is that they feel like they have a family here. So tell us a little bit more about your experience as a veteran and how that translates to our current veterans and how you're able to sort of connect with them.
So, look, we shared through on the last broadcast, and I've been through some stuff in the Marine Corps. I've been through some stuff during incarceration. You learn a lot, and it's how you process it that shows if you're capable of growth or continuing growth, or your ability or capacity to help other people. So when I got my current role as a grant writer, challenging, yes, but as I got into the role, I was able to draw on all those experiences, everything I've gone through my entire life, and figure out solutions to problems. So when we talk with staff and like, hey, what are the great ideas that you have? What would you like to see for the program? Sometimes I have to think outside the box just to be competitive for a grant. And that's where I can draw my experiences, and not just my experiences, but by communicating with the veterans in our program about their experiences. So I get to draw from a bunch of different resources. And that's where the crafty and thinking outside the box comes into play. And that's what helps me in my role grow and expand. We have our operations inside of Soledad, where just finished writing a reentry book based off input from the experiences of people, our clients that are on parole.
Repeat that again. You just started writing a what?
Oh, it's completed. It's a reentry handbook.
Oh, reentry handbook. And tell us, what does that mean?
So what it is a parole preparation book. So the reentry handbook, it's called Still Standing. And it draws off the experiences of myself, other veterans who have come through our program that have paroled, and the needs of the community inside. Instead of just saying, this is what you got to do to be successful, in this book, we give real world examples. This is what society is like. Some of these guys have been gone from society for 30 years. So for a lot of the incarcerated veteran community, that time gap, things have changed so much, it's a culture shock when they walk out the door. How do people dress? How do people act? How does technology work? How do I order things online? These are things they don't know. So this book addresses that. In addition, it looks at the skills they build in prison. So looking at all the skills they develop, whether it's college education or vocational training, we give real examples of how that translates into employment in the real world. So not everything you do inside will get you a job outside, especially because some criminal convictions prohibit you from having a certain job. So if you're getting a degree in something you can't apply to, why waste your time doing that? So we focus on things that are real world transferable so they can start immediately.
And this handbook is to be given out within the prison walls. So
Correct.
While you're still in prison, you've got that handbook preparing you to get out.
Right. So we're going to start implementing that program shortly. Looking forward to that. But to be able to do that book, you got to have the experience. So having walked that path from incarceration and taking a draw off my own struggles and things I wish I would have known before I came out, that was the motivating factor behind this book. How can we better prepare our veterans so when they do enter into society, they can hit the ground running faster? Now, look, we got 100% success rate in our program. 0% recidivism. That's pretty remarkable. Even with that, we still want to give our veterans a leg up. We want to get them as prepared as possible so they're not waiting for the next opportunity. So doing this, we cut that down quite a bit.
It starts the treadmill rolling, basically.
Yes.
So tell us about how that's going to look inside. So you present the book. Each person gets a book.
Each person gives a book. We'll have facilitators give the classes, do dialogue, training, real world understanding. We'll let people come in and talk to them. Real interactive, 16-week class.
And are these people that are already scheduled to be up for parole at a certain time frame or something?
No, because the truth of the matter is you don't want to wait to start preparing for release a year before you're going to be released. You need to start preparing the day you enter.
Interesting.
Day one.
I mean, it starts from there, really. Yeah.
And Tom, can you share some of the examples of what these, what's inside the book and what you might learn by picking it up?
Sure. So legal documentation. What do I need legally to re-enter society and get a bank account, get a loan, rent? So we go through everything they need, how to get a California ID, how to get social security cards, birth certificates, DD-214s.
What's a DD-214 again?
So that is your official record from the military when you separate from service. It says you're a veteran, and this is your discharge status, and this is everything you've done. Mm-hmm. We also go through rent control, tenant rights, how to purchase a car, how to build credit. Our credit building is very important for a person coming back in. They start out with either a 0 score, a 450 score, or a 600. Either way, they need minimum scores to get rent and to get loans. So that's pretty important also. Another thing that's in there is how society interacts and what it looks like reintegrating with family and friends, especially when you're on parole. Mm-hmm. That can be sometimes very difficult when you've been separated from people in society for that long, especially family members. Even though they call and have letters, sometimes that actual physical interaction is difficult. So we do go over that too, what it looks like, how to be aware of your surroundings with society, with family, with friends, what to do in situations, what not to do. And then there's also something that gets overlooked a lot. When you're out on your own and you are removed from the familiar sounds of being inside, doors, keys, voices all the time, and suddenly you're in silence, it can be a little bit overwhelming. Also, you can be depressing. Things aren't going as fast as you want. These are all things to take into account. So preparing yourself before you release that I'm going to encounter these things, get your mindset right before you walk out the door. That's what it's about.
And something that's been brought up on past podcasts is coming into the new tech world, right? Where every step of the way, around every corner is a scam artist trying to, get your information. And there's so many new ways, like people are calling you on the phone, asking for personal information and sending you text, telling you to click the link for your package and all of that. Does your book go into safety measures like that?
There is a portion that's not in the book, but is an instructor portion where we talk about that. There are some things you can write. It's not going to really sink in until they get to see it in person.
So along that same line, that's an amazing project. I mean, I hope we can get the word out more about that, because that's really, really exciting. And you'll be working on your own with this, or with our LTOR program here, or how is that working?
This will start out in CTF Soledad, but it's part of our ARG
Oh,
funding.
the new one. Okay.
So this will go out into all the state corrections.
Oh, wow.
This will eventually work its way into every prison.
Wow. That's going to make a huge difference in people's lives.
We sure hope so.
Yeah. That's a huge project. What other projects are you working on that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, I have an immediate project I'm working on. So for those of you who are listening to this and can't see, Maddie has been busy hitting the pause button while I have been coughing myself silly because I have a very dry throat. So if you hear some gaps and interruptions, that's my fault because my throat is not cooperating. That's my big project right now, is just being able to talk to all of you and communicate with Maddie and Lisa.
Well, we're just glad you're here. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. So, so back to your position here at VTC. What kind of themes or needs do you see that are coming up among veterans today that you think should be more visible or should be brought out more in a particular program, or like a book that we just talked about?
So there's always a need for food, clothing, medical resources for them to get on their feet. Sometimes one of those overlooked needs is in the moment, as in right now, what do I need? Mm-hmm. And that's just more emotional support. It's more community involvement. It's a lot of the intangibles that you just don't think about. So how do we get those going?
Give us an example.
Well, I'll give you a great example. So the event that you two worked magnificently on is a prime example where we bring the community here to VTC and we get our veterans in our program up here working with the community and talking with the community. That is so important for a veteran to get back to the norms of society. So doing those type of events, this builds confidence in our veterans. A lot of them might be shy around just speaking to anybody, but events like this, where there are a lot of other people who share that same walk they have, makes it a little bit easier in that transition of talking to people, interacting with people, doing transactions. So it's very important what you do.
Well, we had a lot of transactions going on because not only did we have things for sale, but the veterans were able to go to each table. We had 30 booths, so they were actually able to talk to 30 different organizations about how to better their life in some way. I mean, they had palliative care information, they had long-term care information, we had banking, financial resources, all kinds of things, which gave them an opportunity to really kind of be on the same level as someone and kind of just get information that might help their lives.
I do want to add in too that we had a previous veteran who set up his booth there. His name is Tony. Everybody here at VTCs knows Tony, and he opened up his own vendor business where he goes around from different markets and selling them, and he sells model cars and other similar items. And he said it was his best sales day ever that he's ever had.
Oh, that's so exciting. And I love that he was right next to our booth, so we get to chat with him. That was really fun.
It was
a
great seeing
day.
him and seeing his success after VTC.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you like a real world example of what this looks like. So if you're a veteran and if you're listening around, just picture this is you. You've been homeless or you've been incarcerated for decades, and you basically feel like there's nobody that cares about you, and you're on your own. Then you come to an event like what we just had up here at the Jamboree, and you see how many people in the community are actually there to support you. And suddenly your perspective changes where you're not thinking, I'm doing this by myself. There's a village behind you, and they're ready to support you. That's why things like that are so important that sometimes we just never really think about the impact it has on a veteran who's gone through these types of changes in their lives.
I mean, you can imagine the loneliness and the solitude, and to be able to change that perspective and say, you're not alone. We're walking alongside you. I mean, that's such a huge thing that VTC does for veterans, whether they were on the street or whether they were incarcerated. So that's why we're here, because we care about them and we want them to feel like they matter, because they do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit more about your personal development. So what kind of skills have you been working on recently, either professionally or personally, that you're most proud of right now, besides getting physically well?
Skill-wise, it's a little bit of time management and organization. You think you have those skills, and then you get more responsibilities, and you realize that you've got to develop them a little bit further. So in that aspect, grown a lot. Doesn't mean it's easy.
Never is.
But it's been done. I think the payoff, though, is exposure to stress management. So stress isn't necessarily a negative thing. Well, we can have positive stressors that motivate you to accomplish things. Hence my life. There's been a lot of positive stressors. But I think a lot of that has helped me think strategically of how I can apply my skills to my job in a better way that benefits the veterans in the community. I'll give you a prime example. So what that looks like sometimes is creative design, creative application. So we are starting to go green here at VTC. We're getting as much energy as possible from renewable resources. So in this case, solar. So we've completed some solar panel installation. We have funding for more. We're upgrading our electrical infrastructure inside our main building. And this is all to help the environment. But it doesn't just help the environment. So for our veterans, if you have a electric device, whether it's keeping your insulin cold in the refrigerator, your electric scooter for transportation, CPAP machine, what happens when the power goes out? You're in trouble. So with our solar power program, we have backup batteries.
How many buildings right now have solar?
Right now we have 6. Take that back, we have 8.
Okay.
And it's just important to make sure that energy is not gone when the power goes out, because these veterans rely on that for it's literally life-saving equipment.
So this turns on a backup battery, basically, right? The
Right.
solar does. Okay. Oh, that's neat.
So during the storms or the power outages that sometimes occur, they're safe. They're safe. So solar power is just one aspect. We're also trying to get funding that will reduce water usage. Toilets, bathtubs, sinks, things like that will preserve the environment. And it's cost effective for us as an organization also. So we're looking at a lot of different ways.
So not only, I mean, we obviously have to make very good use of donations that come in and grants that we receive specific to our organization. But our number one goal is to meet the needs of our veterans and use whatever funding that we receive wisely and stretch it as far as we can. So I appreciate you mentioning that. Or if you want to.
Tom, what motivates you on the days where work feels hard?
Memories. Just triggered myself. Excuse me.
That's okay.
When it does get overwhelming, I sometimes just go down the memory path about what I've been through and where I've come and realize that my story, my path, I share with so many of my brothers and sisters that we house. That motivates me. That helps me push through the days.
When you think about that, what's some of the first things that come to your mind?
I think about the times where I felt alone, the times where memories just replayed themselves, and you get stuck in that rut, and you just find yourself going in a circle and getting nowhere. The depression, the suicidal ideation. Think about all that stuff. And I know that there are people in our program that are going through that right now. I know what I had to go through to get out of it. It wasn't an easy path. It's pretty difficult at times. Drawing off that is a huge motivator for me to help the next veteran not have to possibly go through that situation.
Can you give us an example? You don't have to mention any names, but can you give us an example of how you were able to instill that experience into the life of one of our veterans and how that impacted them?
Sure. In fact, I'll give you a classic example. I do narration therapy, we do group settings. And during those settings, I share my story. I get it out there. This is me. And I use that as a bridge way to find if there's anything in my story that a veteran can relate to. And that just opens up a line of communication where all of a sudden we're talking about our experiences and we're sharing our lives. And part of that is hard to do because as veterans, we're so personal about ourselves. We're trained that way. Being able to talk about that in a setting of other veterans who are going through the same thing really starts the process of healing. Is you taking this burden that you're packing around and you're realizing you're not alone. And there's other people who have done the same thing you have and they've gotten through it. So sharing those experiences is really important. Specifically, my narration program, it uses Shakespeare as a medium. And it's called Decruit. And it's ran by Stephen Wolfert, who was a fantastic Shakespeare actor. He was the Army officer and out of New York University with Dr. Elisha Ali. So what we do in Decruit is Shakespeare's like the medium, right? Everybody really doesn't know Shakespeare, but they'll say they know Shakespeare. Well, Shakespeare was a rabble-rouser. This guy was like the ultimate anti-authority person, and he communicated with his audiences through his plays. Well, Shakespeare was also the warrior's poet. Every play Shakespeare ever did has an element of the military in it. Whether it's a character with military experience or it's actually about kings and war, it's there. So we draw specific monologues out of all these plays because they have emotional content in them. And so in this class, we give 2 writing prompts. It's 5 minutes of uninterrupted writing for each writing prompt. And then we identify the emotions in them. Now, the writing prompts, they're pretty triggering writing prompts. Like the most traumatic thing that happened to you in the military. What was it like when you got arrested? Things of that nature. Things that are going to get an emotional response. And then we have them write down what those emotions are. And then they identify the highest emotion that they have at the moment they're writing it. Whether it's anger, confusion, ideation, be anything. We then take that emotion and we pair it up with this monologue specific to that emotion from Shakespeare. And now that's theirs. They get this monologue from Shakespeare. So they read the monologue. And the purpose of them reading the monologue is to kind of like back away from what they just wrote about, but read something similar to it so they can displace themselves. I'm like, hey, you know what? This dude and this 400-year-old dead guy's poet, he went through this. And look how he handled it. And it gets the mind thinking. And so once they start identifying with that, they're able to picture a different path forward. And then in my classes, at least, I have them write their own monologues where they become Shakespeare themselves and they write about their experiences. We share in the classes. We read our poems out loud. We talk about breathing, how the body produces all those wonderful chemicals inside and how they interact with your body. Being totally aware of our body, every ache, pain, sensation, and how that plays on our mind and our own emotional regulation. We cover all that. And once you understand that, you can't help but like go through the day like, oh, stubbed my toe. This could like really impact how I interact with people in my day because my toe hurts. A lot of times we don't think about that. Shakespeare allows us to picture outcomes in a different way before those outcomes become reality.
That sounds like an amazingly powerful class. I mean, I need to take it. You should do it here for the staff, Tom. And I want to do the Shakespeare too. So you do a lot of things. You speak at a lot of conferences. You speak at the colleges. Tell us a little bit more about some of those things that you do on a regular basis.
Well, sleep is definitely not one of those things I do on a regular basis, although I need to get better at that. So every semester, I do speak at Monterey Peninsula College to lifespan development and psychiatry classes, just to give them an idea of what we do here at VTC and what it looks like for the veteran experience. And so they get a better understanding of that. And then on the follow-up classes, I actually bring people who've gone through our program up there. In the follow-up class, these veterans who've gone through our program get to play client to potential psychologists, nurses.
Oh.
And they interact with them by asking them questions. So the professor I work with and we sit back and we evaluate the types of questions they ask, their approach, what they're getting from it. Now, these are all first year and second year students, so it's really new to them. We don't expect a lot out of them. But we use that to highlight the importance of when you're going to go into a mental health profession, know your business. You really got to think outside the box and get creative because everybody's unique. There is no one size fits all when it comes to mental health. It just doesn't happen because everybody is their own person. They understand and they learn at a different rate. So one of the problems that psychiatry has had in the last 20, 30 years is textbook learning, one size fits all. This is the diagnosis, and this is how it has to be. It doesn't work that way in the real world. It doesn't work that way with veterans especially.
So you represent VTC in so many different capacities. I mean, obviously, you're a grant writer. You go out there, you present VTC, you present our statistics, you present our financial statistics for applying for grants. But just like what you just mentioned at MPC, so you've gone to Sacramento and represented VTC.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So it's not so much representing VTC. I'm representing the veteran and the community that VTC serves.
The veteran community.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And a lot of that is supporting programs that are either veteran criminal justice reforms, benefits for veterans. There's quite a few bills in Sacramento that are veteran related, having to do with disability, pensions, property taxes, the scam artists that are out there in the community who are trying to represent veterans for their benefits claim that are taking a large percentage of those benefits. Right? We're trying to get legislation to address all that. And so there are a lot of people up and down California that I speak to in support of these things. So these aren't like partisan issues. This is a veteran community issue. And the great thing about some of these bills is we get support from every spectrum because it matters to all Californians. And it matters to all the veterans nationwide. We don't really think about community movement, but there are a lot of veterans leaving California right now And California is now taking direct measures to retain those veterans and the knowledge and resources that they have.
So why are veterans leaving California?
To be blunt and honest about it, there are better veteran benefits in other states. And when
That
you're
breaks
on,
my heart, really, if you think about it. I mean,
when you are on a fixed income, whether it's a disability rating or a pension, your money only goes so far in this state. It costs a lot to live here in California. There are many other states where the cost of living is very easy on what a veteran brings in for the disability or their pension. And so they're leaving. So here's a really cool thing about being in my role, because I like to think outside the box. I also like to spin the tables on people. So this is where me, who is talking with you and getting questions from you, gets to ask you questions.
oh boy.
Have fun.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
So Lisa and Maddie, you both are out in the community. You're making fantastic content, and you're bringing a lot of contact to people that don't really know about VTC, and through your efforts, they are. What's the most exciting thing about that for you?
Well, what I love to see and to hear is when people look at me and they go, "You guys do what?" We're like, "Yeah, we take veterans as they are. If they were in the service for one day or for 25 years, we take them as they are, and we're right here at Fort Ord at the former Fort Ord Army base." They're like, "What?" And so that seeing their face and seeing the realization about how we're helping veterans, because those people fought for us. They fought for our freedoms. And so when I see the community members, whether they're, bank managers or restaurant owners or electricians, when they realize the impact that we're making, and I'm not saying that in a bragging way, I'm saying that because that's the whole goal, is to give hope to veterans that are facing crisis. And so to see their faces when I talk about what we do here, that's pretty cool. I find that really cool. Another thing I like is that we've been really working on this for the past 2 years, is just really increasing our advertising. And I know that it does cost money to advertise, but it really is important for the community, especially our community, because we have very affluent people, we have middle-class people, we have people that don't have so much. But those people, what I've learned in the fundraising world is those people want to donate and give and make a difference in places that really means something to them. So I'm really proud of the work that we're doing.
That's awesome.
I think especially recently with Veterans Day and everything and all of the people who showed up, we run into veterans who have never gone through our program, but love what we're doing, because what you mentioned, like when veterans get out, right, the transition back into civilian life, it's tough. And so a lot of them, they identify with the struggles that veterans go through. And so seeing the ones who ended up homeless or on the streets or ended up going to prison, realizing that we have this resource here just makes all of our veterans proud and happy that that VTC is here.
Now, both of you interacted with a lot of the veterans in our housing program. You've heard a lot of their stories. You've done events with them, and you kind of get to know them. When you start hearing some of the trauma they've gone through and some of their moments, whether it was in military or regular life or incarceration, how much of an impact does that have on how you look at your community?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, this is kind of an obvious one, but it's opened my eyes to what trauma looks like. I mean, everyone has some sort of level of trauma in their life, whether it be a dysfunctional family or a missing parent or death of a family member or whatever. But being able to really hear someone talk specifically about what they've been through, whether it was before the military or why they went into the military, I've learned so much about when this trauma starts to begin, and how it continues. I remember Dr. Phil saying one time, something starts for one reason and continues for another. And so you see that a lot of times there might be some sort of a trauma situation in someone's life, and then they go into the military, and it changes you. I mean, it really changes people. So that has been really impactful to me and has helped me communicate the veteran experience with our community.
I think it really shows that you can't take anything for face value. Like, you can see this incredibly put together person in front of you and think that they have it all together and have always had it all together, but you never know the struggles that they've been through. So meeting people like you, or people, who have gone through our program, you seem very well put together. You don't seem like you've had, those struggles, but you never know what has happened to a person in their past. And so I think, you could go just say, be kind to everybody, because everybody has a past.
Yeah, and everybody has a story. I mean, it really is. It's true. Thank you for taking it to that level, because it really does have to do with how we treat each other in our society. What people that were previously incarcerated, the assumptions that we make. It's really quite sad to take that away from someone where they have maybe accomplished great things on the inside, but also once they're on the outside, what they plan for their life and how they want to kind of renew themselves or reinvent themselves. It's quite powerful.
I always love going back to that phrase of, we're a country of second chances. But when we really think about that, are we a country of second chances? Whether it's for the homeless veteran or the incarcerated person. That's why the role of nonprofits is really important in our society, is because the nonprofits, they don't forget these people. They don't forget these marginalized communities that most of regular society chooses not to look at or ignore. So what you're doing, and this goes back to the community events that you do and your communication with our veterans, you're really important to this organization, whether you believe it or not. I know because I interact with the veterans down on our housing quite often, and your names come up a lot. In case you didn't know.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you.
That's pretty kick butt. Keep this PG. So let's have a fun question. Right. What does a fun day look like for you at work? Well,
I really look forward to the podcast. And I'll be honest with you, it's given me a whole new outlook on my job. Obviously, I love talking to the community. I love reaching out. I love informing people about what we do here, why we do it, and the meaning about and the mission behind VTC. But meeting the veterans and the case managers face to face and hearing their stories and how they have supported, themselves and through VTC to get to the next step in their lives, that to me is a fun day. And then, of course, once a month we have birthday pizza, which is really fun.
That's always a good day.
Yeah.
For me, I like the flexibility I have to put on little events throughout the months. Like we talked about the wreath decorating class that we're having coming up.
And the art therapy.
The art therapy we have. Last month we did a pumpkin decorating contest. And there's nobody telling me no, don't do that. It's everything's very encouraging, right? So I have an idea to bring somebody in and do this little class presentation for veterans and get them together.
And they love it. I mean, you put up a sign up sheet at the front desk, and they just boom, 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 boom. They sign up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, that's one thing I have to say that Maddie has kind of created in our department over here in this part of the building is finding ways to bring joy to the veterans. We have art therapy. We have a model making class, right, Maddie? Where they do model airplanes and stuff. The wreaths are coming in. We have art therapy. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Last month they did a great job on those pumpkins, by the way. That was fun.
Well, for our listeners out there, in case you ever want to see some of these fantastic stories that Maddie and Lisa are posting about our organization, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at VTC of California. You can get on our website at www.vtcofcalifornia.org and find out all the fantastic things we're doing here, upcoming events, who our staff are, stories. It's all there. And I really encourage you to take the time to get to know our organization and our staff a little bit better, broaden your horizon, see our community, and check out the veterans that we serve.
And we love to let people know that we love giving tours. We love sitting in our conference room explaining how this started from its inception, and then how we got to where we are today. And Tom, you're great at that, by the way. You're really good. We do usually have our CEO and our CFO do the tours, but we'd love to have you come in and meet Tom as well. But it's a great history lesson, not only about how this started as Fort Ord, but then how we obtained this land with the commitment to mitigating homelessness. I mean, that was our goal, and we're still doing that to this day, specifically for veterans. So it's pretty powerful. So we'd love to give you a tour and sit down with you and give you information about what we do here at VTC, but also give you an opportunity to find out more about us so that you can spread it throughout the community. It's extremely important that our surrounding communities and all of Monterey County and beyond understands what we do here. And the bottom line is that if you know a veteran or if you are a veteran in need, please call us. You can reach us by email at info@vtcmonterey.org. You can go to our website, vtcofcalifornia.org, and our phone number.
It's 883
831
831 8387.
831-883-8387.
You're going to come in contact with a fantastic person at our front desk named Craig. He has got people skills that are just phenomenal, very personal. And if he doesn't have the answer, he's going to direct you to the person that does.
That's amazing. That's the best part. And it's the same thing with anybody here. If we don't know how to help you, we will find out a way to get you pointed in the right direction. And this is a veteran service organization, but if you're in a situation where you're not a veteran and you're in need, we still have a lot of connections in our community that we can find what you need for you in your particular circumstance.
All right, Tom. So can you tell us what a fun day at work looks like for you?
So you're spinning the tables on me.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's a fun day for me. And this is always my fun day, Fridays. And not just because it's the weekend. All right, Fridays here, TGIF, right? No, this is why Fridays are fun days for me. So on Fridays, I get to go back to a community that I left. I go to Soledad and I provide narration therapy classes doing Decruit. I go out there and do peer support specialist for a lot of our incarcerated veterans who are struggling while inside. I help them connect with resources, family, friends, things of that nature, emotional support. And I get to see the growth that happens, not just from them attending my classes. I'm not going to do the ego trip here. They are actively involved in a lot of rehabilitation classes. So when I get to see these changes, because some of these guys I've known for 20, 30 years, I knew how they were when they first came in the system. And now I see who they are now. I'm like, wow. I mean, you're motivating. You're still inside and you motivate me to keep going and be a better person. So when I get that feedback from them, that jacks me up. I'm like, yeah, I walk out of there not depressed because it's a prison. Right? I walk out of there motivated and really excited about the future for these veterans and what they're going to bring out into the community. A lot of times we don't think that there's a lot of person that can do all this time inside, can bring out to the community, but they're bringing a skill set that maybe gets overlooked because inside things are difficult. You got to deal with thousands of angry people every day. How do you navigate that and stay out of trouble? How do you deal with the noise, the complexity, the attitudes, the discipline, the rules, the structured time schedule, but yet that gets all figured out while you're inside. And when you bring that out here, as a person who's going to employ somebody, I'm looking at a skill set that says they're going to show up on time, they're innovative and creative, they're respectful, they know how to follow rules and procedures. Wow, it's like a perfect employee. That's a hidden skill set they're bringing out. But when you take in all the self-help classes they're doing, whether it's anger management, life skill development, a college education, right? They're bringing a skill set out, communication classes. I mean, they're bringing this skill set out into a job. And I can tell you there are a lot of business owners that I've talked to where our veterans are working right now that are so thankful that they have hired an incarcerated veteran because they don't have to pay to get those skills done. These guys are bringing them out with them. So watching that transformation, it's almost like I got a magic 8-ball, that crystal ball in front of me, and I'm like rubbing it really hard and the smoke goes up. And I'm looking at this veteran's future because I'm out here and I know what they're doing, how that's going to pay off in the long run once they're released. So I get motivated about that. That's a fun day.
But I want to talk a little bit about the whole peer support specialist, because you are definitely a peer support specialist as well as a grant writer and many other things that you do. But I find it so amazing how you go inside and you're able to connect. And I'm sure that makes a huge difference in their lives. So tell us a little bit about that connection before we go.
So one of the big things about going back inside is I came from that environment. So instantly, like, hey, this is a real person that isn't just walking in from the community and saying, okay, here I am, I have the answers, or I know what you're going through. Right? I know what they're going through. Been there, done that. So when I walk in, what I have to say gets taken seriously. And they look at it, even when I have to give tough support. Like you're making some bad life decisions.
Like tough love, you mean?
Kind of like tough love, but more of like, I know you got in trouble. I know you did something you shouldn't have done because you told me, right? So there's that trust. And it's good that they can trust me enough to talk to me about it and to receive the feedback where it's not a constructive criticism type of feedback. It's let's look at your options. Let's look at things that you can decide to do today to overcome this. And sometimes that peer support also is family support, which might sound weird, but there's family and then there's family. Mm-hmm. So some of the incarcerated veterans, they don't have immediate family. They have no support. Family is all the veterans who have paroled before them. That's family. And so being able to do the connection between the two and say, hey, this is what so-and-so is doing. They send their greetings and their love and respect to you. That's a spiritual pickup for them. That's an emotional pickup for them. Just to know that somebody they knew is out here making it. And they're doing well. The role of peer support is more than just being there in time of crisis. It's being a presence when you are not physically there. To know that there is somebody you can rely on that's going to be here every week, like clockwork. And if I've got an issue or a problem, I know I can talk to them. And that's a real important part of being a peer support specialist, at least on my end from going inside.
Well, we've seen the difference that's made in many of our veterans' lives here at VTC and those that have graduated. And we're just so grateful to have you on this team and representing all that is good when it comes to, life and facing challenges and heartache, heartbreak, crisis, trauma, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you're proof of that. And we're just so proud to have you on this team. I'm so proud to be working with you. Before we close the program, I would like to make sure that if there is a veteran out there and you're facing any sort of trauma, any level of trauma, crisis, if you're facing homelessness, rejection, loneliness, PTSD, any sort of trauma, even if you don't have a name for it, we are here. The Veterans Transition Center of California is here for you to help you in any way that we can. You can reach out to us by calling 831-883-8387. If you are a member of our community and would like to donate to our organization, feel free to give us a call as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.